Bill Belichick is no longer the Patriots coach. Could cry. Nah, I'm happy. I'm really bad at starting these. Tell me a joke.
I don't know any jokes.
I thought you were funny.
I am funny, but I don't tell jokes. You want to know who's good at telling jokes?
Dustin Coe.
Duddy Coe.
Dustin Coe is a professional dad joke teller.
He is.
They're corny, but that's why they're funny.
I know.
All right, let's jump into this. Let's talk. Okay, so we've talked about, you kind of gassed me up a little bit, made me look better than I probably am. And then last week we talked about roles and expectations, which were really good. And this is just another like hot one. So we're going to open dialogue. We haven't talked about this at all yet, but just the value of compromise.
Yeah.
And how people are terrible at it.
Yes, absolutely.
Not you.
Guys, he just is always trolling my life. If you don't troll each other in marriage.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. If you can't joke, you don't care, or you're not honest.
Number
12 trillion.
12 trillion. Learn how to joke around with each other.
No, absolutely.
And troll.
But no, compromise.
I think compromise is huge. And I think a lot of people struggle because they fail to compromise, or let's use the other term that people like to use, and that's surrender.
Yeah. It's super good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta look something up real quick.
You have to learn how to compromise. Compromise is good. I do want to clarify though. Compromise is never anything that goes against the word of God. In your relationship, with any relationship, but especially in your marriage, we're not talking about compromising God's word. We're not talking about compromising anything that stands on a biblical truth.
No, never.
But let's give an example, right? Let's give clear understanding of what kind of compromise we're talking about.
Go ahead.
And I think that that's like, okay, say for date night, I think a fair compromise every once in a while would be to go to where the other spouse wants.
Go shoot guns.
Or, take turns doing things that each other likes.
Take turns?
Yes.
Take turns? You mean like take turns planning date night?
No, I won't compromise on that. That's the man's job, okay?
All right. I don't know. But no, I agree. And people like refuse to compromise over like stupid little meaningless things and then like gigantic things. But I think the greater issue is like what it does is it puts two people who are supposed to be one person at odds.
Right.
Now it's like two people fighting for their side, but in God's eyes, they're not two people, they're one person.
Right.
And now you're just like digging your feet in.
Yeah.
Over what?
Yeah.
What is it like if you win who wins in an argument if you win?
Nobody. Nobody wins.
And people always say, well, I won. It's like, well, no, actually you lost because the team lost.
Right.
And that's the same, I think, with compromise and getting all that stuff in order. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge deal in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And people like it, and it's wild because it could be so petty.
Oh
and
my gosh,
it
there's
creates
a lot of petty
such
betties.
A gigantic rift. And it's just insane because that's not what like love is. Love is not fighting for your own side.
Right.
I looked that up in 1 Corinthians. It says, love is patient and kind. We know that does not envy or boast. We know that it's not arrogant or rude. Right. Ready? It does not insist on its own way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's also fair to say that I think so many times, I think people view marriage as, well, this is a 50-50 thing, right? But it's not meant to be, I'll give my 50 and you give your 50 and we'll meet at 100. No, it's two people choosing to say, I'm going to give 100% all the time. It's not, I'll retract and do 80% if you're only doing, 20. Like it's not that. It's choosing to say, I'm going to give 100% all the time. And within that, I don't think that we have to compromise, the amount that we give one another based on what the other person is doing or not doing.
Why do you think people give 50%? Like, why do you think that's the mentality?
Well, I think that there's been like weird teachings out there of like, well, it's two imperfect people, which is true.
Not you.
There he goes again, guys.
She's perfect. If I was still a youth pastor, I'd say she's so hot, but I'm not a youth pastor, so I won't say that.
Wow. But anyway, I just think that's like, well, it's two imperfect people, and in order to make up one whole, it's half and half. But it's not. That's not true.
Yeah, well, I think it even goes to like surrender.
Yeah.
Surrender and compromise are like cousins, where it's people.
Which they are different.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a level of where they're different, but I think both are crucial.
They're family members. They're close.
But both are important and vital in a marriage.
But I was like, the point I want to make is the fact that so many people fight for their own way. But that's not even biblical.
Yeah.
And like, I think our goal and intention should be like, well, how can I make them better? How can I make them happy? Or go back to the biblical roles, right? So it's like, how can I 100% respect my husband?
Right.
Or submit to the guy's saying it, but like, how could I 100% love my wife like Christ loves the church? Well, it's not going to fight for my own way all the time.
Yeah.
How could I 100% nourish my wife like the Bible tells me I ought to? Well, it's not going to be getting my own way every single time.
Right.
Now, sometimes like, and that's like the fight with compromise, right? Is like, well, who wins? Well, at the end of the day, biblically, like the man's got the final say in almost everything. But if you're just like, I think that caused so many major issues in marriage where guys like don't hear their wife out, and that's just not doing your role. Like, you're not nourishing, you're not loving. You're just like, this is what we do. I'm the man. It's like, congratulations, man. The moment you have to throw like a title or a role around, it means it's not that solid.
It's not solid. When you have to claim things as yours, it's like there's just so many things. People are silly.
People are silly.
And honestly, it is. It's an insecurity. And I know we talked about it a little bit before, and probably will mention it before because insecurities will rob you of thriving in your marriage, will rob you of thriving at whatever you do. You have to have security and confidence and knowing who you are and humility. But I think that's where this is huge, is that where we can have a confidence in the role we're supposed to play, it coincides hand in hand with humility. 100%. Humility is laying down oneself for the other person.
And that hurts.
Humility is admitting when you may have handled something the wrong way, or admitting that a tone was off, or an attitude, or all those types of things. It takes humility to lay down our wants and our desires all the time to serve the other person to our fullest capacity.
It's true.
Because really, like we said, surrender, just like we're supposed to surrender fully to Christ, and laying down our life daily. That's what we're called to do. I think it goes in with marriage as well. If we're here to serve one another, then it's about laying down, surrendering my wants and desires all the time, not always just looking out for me, but man, how can I serve my husband greater? How can I meet his needs? How can I go above and beyond to make sure that he is respected and that he is loved, and that, I'm doing my part.
100%. And people just, they just fight for their own side, and it's like, well, ask even like why. And it's just selfish. But I mean, there are things too, though, where it's like compromise is very important, but there's things where like there isn't compromise.
Oh, absolutely.
So like you don't compromise on the word. You don't compromise on convictions. You don't compromise on like rules that you've set for your family that are just so important, and you've agreed upon.
And boundaries.
And boundaries and like those things you don't move the ball on.
There's got to be some non-negotiables.
And then there's things where it's like, okay, who's in charge? It's like, well, I'm going to compromise and we're going to move to a new city because my wife wants to. Like, no, like you don't just move because somebody wants to. Like, you better hear from the Lord.
Hear from God.
Like big things need to be they need to be led by the man of the house. And that doesn't mean like the wife doesn't have a say or a voice.
Yes, please hear that.
Yeah, like
before you go off and be like,
there's a voice, there's a say, but like at the end of the day, the man's going to be held responsible in God's eyes to what was done.
Based
so it's like,
on the Bible.
Yeah, like you better know in your heart.
Yeah.
This is what God said.
Absolutely.
And then you do it. It's not like, well, we're supposed to compromise. We're supposed to love her like Christ loves the church. She can go anywhere she wants. Well, that's not true.
Yikes.
God doesn't allow us to go wherever we want, do whatever we want. Like he's got a plan.
Yeah.
And that's where some people have messed this up. Like one guy, he's like, well, I'm just supposed to love my wife like Christ loves the church, and I'm going to give her everything that she could ever want, and I'm going to do everything she ever asked me. I was like, dude, God doesn't do like Christ doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that.
He doesn't give us things that we know are bad for us. He doesn't give us things that he knows that we'll fumble and we'll mess up. Like that's not even biblical. It's just like whatever she wants. Like I'll do every single thing in the house,
man.
And like you're a yes man.
Oh gosh,
you're not leading your house.
That's terrifying.
You're not even being biblical. You're just making it easy on yourself. You're just not rocking the boat.
Right.
And that goes back to like, if the wife, happy wife, happy life.
It is a lie.
We didn't talk about that yet.
No, we haven't talked about that. But we will. We'll get there.
That ruins marriages.
It is a lie. It does. It does. And yeah.
But I would say like in compromise, like the man still has to make some choices, and it will rest on someone's shoulders. And don't you dare throw that off on your wife. Yeah.
And wives, like I said, I mean, honestly, there really is such security when it comes to, obviously, like I said, you don't compromise anything against the word. So you never follow your husband into any kind of sin.
Absolutely.
If your husband chooses to do things that are sinful and ungodly and go against scripture, you are by no means obligated to follow him in those things.
100%.
But if it's a decision that needs to be made and he's saying I'm going to make the final say, or whether it be financially or just different things within your marriage on parenting or any of those things, it's not that you can't talk about it, but ultimately, like, yes, be honorable and respectful to follow him in those things. But I want to say this, like,
do it, say it.
There is
10 toes down.
This man.
10 toes down. Say it. Say it strong.
All right. Are you done?
Just like looking at you. I'll drink my Diet Coke and then you're good. This is sponsored by Diet Coke.
No, it's not actually sponsored by anything.
I'm speaking in faith.
Okay. But I do want to encourage you that there is so much protection and freedom that comes when you can say, okay, I trust that you're making the best decision for our family.
Look,
because
guys,
wives?
We're going to buy all the GUNSs right after this. I'm going to buy them all.
Do it. I'm for it. But honestly, there really truly is a sense of security and freedom. There is so much freedom that comes when you can just say, I trust that you are making the best decision for our family. You're not held accountable for it. They are. What freedom is that? Like, wives, women, why do we strive so badly to try to take ownership of things like that we would have to be held accountable to? The less that I have to be held accountable to in before the Lord, the better off I am. Like,
I would say though, like it's a lack of trust.
Absolutely.
And like that's not always the woman's fault. Like sometimes like you aren't trustworthy as a man.
Right.
Like you better show yourself trustworthy.
Yeah.
You better work hard. You better be like, you pray hard, you trust whatever God said you do and lead it. Like lead strong.
Yeah.
Like some people aren't trusted because they they shouldn't be trusted. They're a child. Like we could have a whole conversation about men needing to just grow.
Well, I think that we should. I think
to mail almost every man.
And I would like
stones. Like here you go, buddy. Like until you got your own, just feel these.
Yep.
But it's wild. Like there's so many men who aren't worth following because they still haven't stepped into that like confident, hardworking, manhood level of leading. And it's like, dude, if you can't do that, you shouldn't even have got married. No. But I'm like, we should even talk about like, what are red flags of like just run, like don't get married yet.
We'll do it.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it.
I also highlighted another verse in Romans chapter 12. I love this, so good. And I'm going to read it in a couple different versions. Verse 10, it says, outdo one another in showing honor. Ready? Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Another version, be good friends who love deeply. Practice playing the second fiddle. Show family affection to one another with brotherly love. And this isn't even like about marriage, it's about other people. So like imagine how much more if this is what love marriage, is to be the second fiddle, is to compromise, is to be like, no, actually you get your way. Like imagine like you're trying to out honor each other in marriage instead of just get your way.
Absolutely.
How much healthier it would be.
I think that's what it is. You compromise within that. So like compromise, you know, it'd be you choose to do things because your spouse enjoys doing them. It doesn't, well, no, I'm not doing that. I hate doing that. I'm not doing that. But now you just made it about you. Compromise and surrender looks like, okay, I don't particularly enjoy doing this, but I know that it makes them happy. And because I love them, I'm willing to surrender what I like or my preference to honor them, to have fun with them, to, you know, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. And like, play it out though. Like what do people not compromise over? It's often like, well, whose family's house are we going to go to first?
Yes.
And it's like, well, okay, well now you're just mad at everyone's house. Yeah. Congratulations, you ruined the day. Yeah. People don't compromise like over, you know, financial decisions. It's like there just has to be boundaries and a final say. And if you're the man and you're leading the final say, like you have to lead with honor, right, and conviction. What's the Lord telling you, and how do you honor your wife? And some things it's like, okay, like the heat temperature, like the temperature in the house, like, oh wow, your wife wants it 2 degrees more. Like, stop being a cheapskate.
Yes.
Like, just, is it worth? Grab a blanket. Like, it's 2 degrees. Like, who cares?
Right.
There's stupid things that don't matter. It's like, just don't
stop being petty Bettys.
Yeah, don't be a jerk. I was going to use one of the words I learned on The Sopranos, but I don't know how acceptable they are.
Probably shouldn't do that.
They're funny though.
They are.
They're so funny. About 45 of them just popped into my head.
Yes, they should stay in your head.
Bless the Lord.
I mean, it's true. Like, but even like, I don't know, there's just so many stupid things that I think that like people get petty over, legit. Like stuff like the heat or the toilet seat being up or down, or
do people actually get mad about that?
No, like there are some people who are so specific on things that they're like triggered by everything, or you know, it's like,
just don't marry that person.
Just stop, loosen up.
Yeah, don't marry them.
Don't be so uptight all the time. Like, take turns, you know? Choose your battles.
Pee on the seat.
Don't freaking do that.
You just cussed. If my grandma watches this, she's going to report it.
She already thinks that I'm a cusser, so.
She's going to report it to YouTube.
Don't do stupid things like that. But truly, I mean, it really is considering the other person over yourself always. And that's biblically what we're called to do.
You know what too though? Like, make sure you don't take advantage of the other person always compromising. Like that's also that's huge. A big one.
That
where
is a big one.
Someone's like, oh, they always give me what I want, and then they never compromise.
If I just act stubborn enough, if I just
you'll push that other person
withhold,
so far away.
Oh my gosh.
That person will be so uninterested in you eventually.
Yeah, because it will flip.
At first.
It will flip.
And they're like, you know what? Forget this.
Yep.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Everything was good. No, it was miserable because you are selfish.
Yeah. Ultimately, truly to have compromise and surrender. Like, it really... It's
got to be both people trying to outdo
It's both
and honor.
people. You outdo it. How can I outdo? That's the only thing, right? Like, it's not about a competition against your spouse. Like, this isn't about how can I do better. No, but
how do I out honor?
No, right. But that's the only way. That's the only way there should be any kind of competition within marriage. It's not how can I be a better person than him, or how can I look better. No, it's how can I outserve? How can I out honor? How can I out surrender my love and my dedication to this marriage? How can I do my part at its absolute best on every situation?
Just living a life of like compromise is a better life.
It is.
And even though you don't get your way, you end up winning because you actually have a marriage that's like enjoyable.
Yeah. And to be honest, like when you can open up and just allow yourself to do the things or have that compromise in marriage, like it is enjoyable. When you know that you're making your spouse happy and there's joy and there's peace because of your decisions, it's fun. It's enjoyable.
I agree.
What?
I was going to see if you wanted to compromise to me in the back seat of the truck before we get home.
Literally, Trey is sitting right over there. Trey is not married. Sorry, Trey.
I was just thinking about how much you love compromise, so.
That'll be another topic, which we will talk about. Because that's
I don't know if I'm old enough to talk about this.
You're going to have to, because it is a massive part of marriage.
Say penis.
Oh my gosh, such a child.
All right, sorry.
Stop. Oh my gosh.
All right,
Someone pray for this man.
I would love other people to like throw some topics in. And then what I was thinking about too is I'd love to do some interviews with some other people who've had successful marriages.
Yeah.
And then maybe even some marriages who like they almost didn't make it, but God turned it around. So I'd love to do some interviews coming up too of people. I'm thinking like there's one couple, they've been married like 60 years. They've done something
awesome.
right.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to hear from them 60 years deep into this thing, what they did.
And I want to just encourage people that you just
we have a perfect marriage.
Yeah, see how perfect it is?
I'm gonna start giving the camera like the Jim looks from The Office.
I want to encourage people. Like, I hope that, first of all, I'm just thankful for anyone who is willing to even listen to us, because again,
who's these jabronis?
Who are these jamokes?
Whoa, with The Sopranos.
Anyway,
I heard mob wife look is coming back. Like the aesthetic, mob wife aesthetic is like a thing.
I'm out on that.
Just leather jackets and 9mm. And cigarettes, but
I mean, I think it was a lot of fur coats and big hair.
Well, I guess I'm stupid. I should watch The Sopranos all over again.
But our goal in this is to just encourage you, not to come at people. Now, if some of this is hitting and you're feeling it, like, don't get offended by it and be like, I'm not listening. Like, actually apply it. That's the whole point of this. We believe in successful marriage. We want you to have a successful marriage that's growing and thriving.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who got married just like, I can't wait to divorce them. Like that's never weird. The intention that anyone ever has set out with. So
yeah,
I want to help you avoid the divorce of, the divorce rate is over 50%. But what's crazier is second marriage divorce rates are over 70%.
It's terrible. It's sad.
No, that's wild.
No, it is. And I think the fact that that's not just like outside of the church.
I should continue this though with more statistics.
Continue.
Lesbian marriages have like I think it's like also over a 70% divorce rate.
It's because women can't get along.
Pretty wild. So it seems like you guys are the issue.
There it is, folks. There it is. Long pause. I mean, anyway.
Just looking at the numbers.
You're about to get canceled.
I didn't say anything bad about lesbians.
The femmies are going to come
They're
after you.
They're just not good at marriage, statistically.
It's true. I mean, there has to be
I have like
lead.
48 other things that I think would be funny to say, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
We'll save it for another day. But we're going to go because we told your mom we'd be done by 2, and it's 1:55.
Yeah, guys, we don't have our children today.
Yeah. No one is holding up, can we go to Wendy's signs that they made?
No one's hiding behind the cameras, making faces and waving their arms to try to get our attention. And
dropping off notes.
Yeah. Reaching in their little hand,
Jumping out of nowhere.
Sloan crying.
Jeez.
Family affair.
We're getting better. All right.
Yeah.
Bye. Signing off. So stupid.